Hi everybody, hi Mom. Okay, this is a requested video. A few people have asked me how I use my Kraft Tex, and I thought I would give you, how I do it. And also a tutorial on the doilies that I've been doing. So I'm going to try and, at least walk you through the basics, and then I'll have to do a separate one for how I stitch them together. Although I could probably just show you with a piece of paper. It's actually not that hard. Okay, so Kraft Tex comes in packages or rolls, like bolts. I have a bolt, so I have to cut mine off the bolt. Now the bolt does have a straight edge, so I generally take my measurements from there. Now I always do I like to do, excuse me, I like to do full pages in my journals, which means my pages, when folded in half, measure 5 1/4 by, 5 1/2 by 8 1/4. So I want my book to be, the cover to be a little bit bigger, and that's because when I have things folded and tucked in together, I don't always trim the edges. If it's like pattern paper that I haven't made, then I do trim the edges and make them fairly even. But when it's something that I'm putting together and I don't want to lose any of my design, then you'll see sort of like steps, it'll kind of go down. Therefore, the center ones, because of the bulk, will stick out a little farther than the top page, which is perfectly fine with me. I actually kind of like that. And but sometimes I want to put tabs on my books. So in that case, if I make my cover, the front cover, when folded in half at 6, that allows for that room. But I like also to do a 3/4 inch spine. And so you have to put all that together in your measurements. Now, I need it to be 12 3/4 by 8 1/2. So I've already done my 8 1/2. This is a folded piece. So this is how I've been doing it, is cutting one big long piece. I generally fold it in half and then measure up and then cut it off. Now this one I've cut off a little wider because I allow for messing up. So this is folded in half. Now I can use my cutter, which I will do, and it will be upside down to you guys, but you'll get the gist. Now, my bed will go to 13 inches, which is awesome. So this is folded in half. So I take the spine part, because you don't want to cut that yet, and you're going to cut the other end. So I want it 12 3/4, which is there. So that's making sure that your edges here are lined up. I know you can't really see what I'm doing. Lined up here, and that your other edge here is meeting. Now, sometimes it's hard because this stuff, once it's in a bolt, I mean, it keeps its shape for quite a while. So you might want to weigh it down with different things when you're trying to cut it off the bolt. Anyway, nothing's perfect. So, but this is a really good cutter, so it will cut through two thicknesses of this paper. So now I have a nice straight edge there. So then I'm going to turn it, and yes, this is longer than my bed, but it will still cut. And I'm going to measure so that the spine is up here, so you've got that nice and straight. And I want it 8 1/2. So it's not going to be off by much because I didn't go up too much. But I want to make sure that this edge is flush and push down so that you get no bubbles. And then I'm just going to cut that off. And so that's what I get. Okay, now I'm not actually going to put one together, but I am going to explain how I do this. So this is just one that I've messed up. It's not really messed up, it's just not the color I wanted. Now, we're going to pretend that this is cut out. So I'm, you know, you take the edges off, obviously. And you're left with, you know, your cover. Okay, so when I'm adhering, I keep all of this as one piece. Then I'll either choose to, like my last book, I ripped stuff away, which meant I wanted something underneath this because I didn't want that much of the Kraft Tex to show. You can, I mean, you can go ahead and paint it or stain it or, you know, do whatever. You can ink it. I mean, you can pretty much do anything you want to this. I chose to add an extra layer of cardstock. So I would cut my cardstock to the width. So here we're gonna fold this in half. Actually, let's do this first. Hopefully you guys have one of these, because otherwise it's going to be a little harder for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to find your 6. Okay, so this actually measures wider than 12. So if you want to do it the easy way, you can just fold it back to its spine and just pinch to find your center, which is usually how I do it. Okay, so now when you're laying this down, this hits right here on the spot here as my center. So then you're just going to take your bone folder and you're going to make sure it's nice and flat. Like I said, this stuff moves around. Okay, so this is my center. I'm not going to score my center. I want to go 3 on this side, so to 6, and then 3 on the other side of it, which is, I don't know what that is. So that gives me my 6. Now, before you score it, measure to make sure that you have the same. So it should be 6.5. Not quite. I don't know, 6 5/8, I guess that is. From the edge there. Now see, it's incorrect. This is what I measure. So that's my 6. Okay, so I've got 6 there. This one's right. I don't know why the other one isn't. That one is correct. And then I want 6 from this side. So let's just go back here. Oh, I was close. Not quite though. Okay, so this is telling me that it should be this one. Oh, I was just 1 off. Okay. It should be here. Okay. So now I'm going to score down here. And I'm going to score, where did the other one go? There it is. Okay, so then you bend it and you get your spine, okay? You don't have to, you know, push it down or anything at this point. And then you want to do the same on this side. So you're wanting it at 6 from the edge of the book. And then we had it, just double check that. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. And then 1 past the 6.5. So that when you bend it together, you got your spine together. Okay, so from there, I work, you know, figuring out how I'm going to lay things down. You can see that obviously I'm going to have quite a nice border once I cut that away on the edges. So you can opt to paint it or add another layer or do whatever. So what I would do is put my Mod Podge or my decoupage or my gel medium, whatever, however you're going to adhere your paper, and get that down first. Make sure it's dry. Do the same on your back, and so you can see, you know, that's off, right? But that's because I folded it, right? If you lay it flat, you now have this. So what I did the last time, and I'm going to change up this time, but I would go ahead and leave this open, do your covers, and if you want to stitch, that's when I would stitch, when it's not attached to here. So you leave this open, do your stitching, then you fold this back, or do your inside cover, and then open that up, do your stitching if you want stitching on the inside, and then lay it back like this. And then I would go ahead and I would decoupage this together, okay, before you went and then bent it like this. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope that makes sense. I can't do it because I have nothing prepped and it would take forever. Okay, so you're going to decoupage your paper on the front. You're going to do your stitching through a single layer if you choose to stitch. Lately, that's what I'm really loving to do. So I would go ahead and I would stitch around my paper. So you've got your paper down. You're going to stitch around your paper. Do the same on the back. And then the inside I don't. I just do straight decoupage the paper down. But then I put it together, decoupage it down, let it dry really well. You know, give it a couple hours. And then I would go back on my sewing machine, sew around, okay, before I bent anything. Sew it around, that way it's not moving anywhere. And then you can go ahead and bend your spine and everything stays nice and flat. Okay, that's how I do my cover. As far as the doily goes, I tea stain my doilies because obviously you guys know I like the vintage look. You don't have to tea stain them. I pick this one is a damask stamp. I just like it because it's big, and I go random. Like I don't, I don't really do a pattern. The last one I did, it was a big doily. It fit kind of right in the center, so that was fine. But when all's said and done, I actually really like this. Now I use a dye ink for this process, just so it stays put. And then all I do is randomly, oh, that's dirty. Hang on a second. Where? Oh, there it is. Probably one of the handiest tools you can have in your craft room is an old toothbrush. Okay, so then I just randomly stamp with the dye ink and then just start. And then you don't want it, well, it's not going to be perfect. I mean, let's face it, it's not going to be perfect. And that's really okay. This one here has like a waffle pattern on the inside, so you don't get a real distinct pattern to it. Not sure where I got these, but probably the dollar store, knowing me. So you put as much or as little as you like. I liked it covered. It's fine to overlap it. Looks just great. Normally I'd smash it down, but when I upload this, YouTube's going to say, shaky, do you want it fixed? And make sure you say no to that, by the way, you guys, because if you're uploading and it says shaky and you get it fixed, a lot of times it screws up your whole video. Just say no. Okay, so we've got that. And then I'll flip it over and I'll do the other side, because I like both sides of my doily done. See, it's really difficult on this side because the waffle comes through on that side. Let's try putting, if you put a piece of foam underneath when you're stamping, usually that helps. We'll see though. In this case it might not because of the waffling on the actual doily. Yeah, doesn't really help a whole lot. Would help if I was standing, but I'm not going to stand. Boy, I was up till 8 o'clock last night finishing that book off. I don't think I've crafted like that in years. But I'm determined I'm going to get stuff done for you guys every week, if at all possible, barring sickness or whatever, you know, things happen. But I'd really love to upload on a more regular basis for you. So that's my goal. Okay, so there's your doily all stamped out. And then I take like, the last time I did it, I used, oops, that's not it. I used this, the Versamark pen, and just randomly sort of, you know, did that. But I actually have a really old stamp. Let me find it. Here it is. It's an old Stampin' Up! Gorgeous Grunge is what it's called. And it has this really cool stamp in it, which is splatters. I used this one, the last one, and I didn't find it was kind of enough for me. So I'm going to try this one today. The only thing with my Stampin' Up! Stamps is they don't stick anymore. Like, at all. It just falls right off. So if you have stamps like that, and you're really in a hurry, just use some repositionable tape on your block. But if you want to fix it permanently, which is one project I'm going to do today actually, is use this. Just take a little tiny bit, use your finger, smear it on the back side, let it dry, and then you've got stick back. Okay, so you take this, you need Versamark or whatever version of Versamark you use. And it doesn't have to be heavy because I don't want it like a ton. And you're just going to do this all over. I don't want a lot. You can always add later if you find it's not enough. You can go back and add some more. I kind of like mine to stick to the edges. Boy, we had 2 days of major storms here. It was awesome. I love the wind. Okay, so I've got that part done. Now, you can choose to use whatever frantage you have. This one is a little bit of a mix. It does have a tiny bit of embossing powder as well, and the chunky gold. So that's what I'm going to use. And then you're just going to sprinkle it on. And hope it sticks. Wouldn't this just be a great tutorial? attempt to get this back in the jar. Big paper, little jar. Okay, I need that closer to me. Okay. I'll do that part later. Put the lid back on. Now this part, I like to do right on my craft mat. Craft mats will take 500 degrees. So your heat gun does not get 500 degrees. So you're safe doing it on your craft mat. Now you can see that the heavier stuff, without it being super wet, doesn't adhere very well. So I recommend that you use this heat gun, the one by Rangers. It doesn't blow as hard, so things don't go whoosh off your page as badly as your other heat tool. You can just get it started with this if you're impatient. Once it's started, then you can just use the other one. But now the reason I do it this way is because I do both sides. Now if I, go ahead and I heat this up, and once it's melted, I'll flip it over and I'll do the same thing with the Versamark and then do it again. But you're going to leave it on your craft mat till it gets cold. And then you can peel it off. It won't stick to your craft mat. But if you go ahead and try and peel it off right away, you're going to leave half of what you just did behind. Okay? Now, what I'll do is I will heat this first. So I usually hold it just above my leg so I can feel it getting hot. Once it's hot, then I use it. So I'm going to start that. It actually feels really good because it's a little chilly down here. Okay, I think that's hot enough. So then I'm going to go ahead. So you can see it is blowing, but it melts really fast, so it won't blow it all away. And once I've got it started, then I'll move it around. And then usually I'll just sort of drop it back on there as it's heating. So if you don't have a heat gun like this, what I would do is I would lay this on top of, say, a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, one you don't care about. And then I would go like this and heat from underneath the paper and just, go back and forth while this is sitting on top of the paper. Go underneath and do this, and the heat will penetrate through the paper and it will adhere your frantage to your doily. But since I have this heat gun and a craft mat, this is the way I do it. I also want to do, once my blog is up, I don't know when that's happening, you guys, but I hope soon. I have to go visit my girlfriend on the Vancouver Island, and we're going to spend the day and set up our blog spots and get everything set up. And hopefully that's going to be soon. Once that's up, then, I'm going to add like little tidbits. One of the things that was requested a long time ago, which I haven't got around to doing, is making a list of essential craft tools. What I feel is important in my craft room. And I hope that's going to be useful to some people. So anyway, that's heated. So that's what she looks like. It's hard to see in this light, isn't it? Anyway, okay. So that's really light, and that's the way I like it. It's just, it almost looks lacy to me. So then I pick up the rest of my dropped stuff. Put it back on the paper because I can funnel that back in. So you want to start with a clean craft mat, obviously. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that again on this side. See if I can do this lefty. I'm so bad with my left hand. So this side, because of the waffling, is going to be even less. So I'm going to go a little heavier on the edging of it, because that will probably stick better. So you use any stamp you want. I mean, you can go, you know, direct on there if you want, you know. You just have to play. And we all know I like playing, so we'll see how that works. All right. So let's get that out of the way. Let's put this back in the jar first. Okay. Try and get close to whatever you're dropping it onto so it doesn't fly all over the place before you even get it on the paper. Okay, we'll see if that's going to stick. Looks like it's going to. Ooh, yeah, that's going to look nice. Alright, let's get rid of this. Okay, so remember, you don't want to move this around once you start heating it, because otherwise you're going to take it off from the other side, as you're going to remelt the other side. Okay, going to do this quick. I'm almost out of time. Okay, I'm just going to telephoto you so you can see that it is changing. There you go. So it is going to look really, really pretty. That's all the time I have, you guys. It's going to cut me off. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any more questions, I do get my frantage. This is the name of it, Stampendous. I get it at Joann's. You can get it online or you can go to the store. And I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Bye.